Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Lock Foundation Disc Golf's weekly podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor. And before we get into the show too much, I actually just want to read this DM I got because I think it might also lead into a little bit of a conversation.
I could have sworn that said Connor Kennedy for a second. I was like, did we frame our own show and I didn't even know about it?
No, it was from Tanner Montgomery. He DM'd us over on Instagram. He said, "Hey Foundation, I listen to your podcast regularly and you guys persuaded me to buy a KC Pro Rock to fill my overstable mid-range slot.
Oh, heck yeah.
The first throw I had with the disc, I got my first real ace."
No way.
What?
So then this is the secondary part. He said, this was the DM of what he was asking. He said, "What do I do with the disc? Do I keep throwing it?"
Keep throwing it. Keep throwing it. Here's the thing. People get a little confused because, okay, I made this tweet over the weekend, I think, about James Conrad because PDGA posted a picture of his the disc that he threw in on 18, the famous disc. Probably, I would argue that's the most famous disc in disc golf history. I would argue that.
It's got to be up there.
It's up there with maybe like
most
the
famous
first
disc in disc golf history is an MVP disc. Think about that.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. But I tweeted and I quote tweeted and I was like, "Is this guy's a different breed for like still throwing this thing?" And people immediately assumed that I was talking about like, oh, he should sell it because yeah, you could make a ton of money, but I wasn't talking about that. I was saying he should like hang it on his wall, and then it should probably eventually end up in like a Hall of Fame or museum. I said museum the other day. I got roasted. I was watching a television show last night, and somebody said compass, and I was like very accomplished about that.
That would have ticked me off. I probably would have punched my TV screen.
It was like, and it was a scripted show too, not like a reality show. Like that was how they were. That was how they were
meant to say it. That's awful.
Okay, because it took place in Pennsylvania.
Anyways, so
no, let me get to my point.
Oh, I thought let me get to my point.
Let me get to my point. So about the James Conrad disc, I was saying that it should be like kept aside, not sold. But that leads me to say, I only think that you should do that with a disc. I mean, if let's say, if you'd have to like throw a disc in for like a win in a tournament to be worthy of you just like removing it from your bag. It's such a good disc. Like,
I don't know. My first ace I took out of my bag and hung on my wall. It was my first ace. Second, third, fourth ace.
I will say this. If you don't mind spending the money, then KC rocks are very replaceable. As long as they haven't been.
It was his first throw.
If it was your first throw, then like that disc is brand new, and like you can find a disc that flies like that very easily. If it had been beat in already, then I would say, because like I always, for me personally, I would just write first ace, the date and the course on the back. Some people have like the people on their card sign it, and then that thing's going right back in my bag. And I will say, to this day, I have had 4 aces, and each one of those discs has gone back into my bag, and I've never lost one of them. I've never lost one of my ace discs.
See, my first ace disc was a Ledgestone TI Zone because it was before TI Zones existed.
Mine was a G-Star Rhino,
and I skipped
Mine
it
was
in.
a KC Rock.
Oh, there you go. You got something in common with Tanner. I skipped it in on hole 18 at Peaksview. It was the first time Lizzie ever played disc golf with me.
You skipped it in on a zone?
Yeah, I threw it. I thought it was an awful shot, and then it skipped up, and then I heard chains.
How
and
did
I was
you
like,
get a zone to 18 at Peaksview? Oh, 18.
Short.
18. I was thinking of 7.
And then I walked around the corner. It was just sitting in the basket. So I wrote it on the bottom and then hung it on my wall because it was a zone.
Every single one of my aces.
But then after that...
Wait, I only have 3 aces. I lied. I capped. I only have 3 aces.
After that, my next few aces...
Straight.
One of my aces is with the Nova that's in my bag. I don't remember which ace it was. But all those I just kept. My first tournament ace, if that ever happens, which it probably won't because I'm retired from disc golf now.
Yes.
But if I ever had a first tournament ace, I would retire that one because I still haven't had a tournament ace. But yeah, I think for your first ace, if you're sentimental like I am, hanging on a wall. If not, keep throwing it.
I've never been the guy to be like for me, like collecting discs is about collecting discs I want to put in my bag at some point.
I like collecting.
I'm not about the like rare disc. I've never been about that. I could probably get into it, but like for me, like especially because when I was getting into disc golf, I was literally like 14 years old, so I was like saving up like literally dollar by dollar to get to that like $12 so I could buy a Yeti Pro AVR. Like I remember like, oh my gosh, like Mom, I have $11 here. It is, so I can buy this disc online. Like so that was what it was about for me. So it was always like, let me get discs that I can like even if I have a collection, there are 100 discs that I might cycle through my bag someday, not like ones that are. And then like discs become sentimental to me because I've used them a ton.
Yeah,
but I've never hung a disc on a wall. I'm looking at a disc I've hung on the wall over there, but that is because that's because my brother got it to me and it has my dog like died on it. But like I've never gotten like an actually rare disc and been like, this is going on the wall. Matter of fact, usually if I actually do happen upon a disc that's like rare to where people will be mad at me if I throw it because I think it's funny.
See, I used to flip discs, but I would flip discs just to fund my collecting. So I would buy 2 of a rare disc, flip one, and hang one.
That's a great system.
Mm-hmm.
Just so basically all the discs on my wall were for free. But nowadays, if I get a rare disc, it's just to hang. I like having a bunch of like. I like when like a friend comes over. I'm like, yeah, let me show you my disc golf collection. It's like
that's cool.
Start whipping out like a 19.
Yeah.
I have like a 1989 special edition Banshee.
I think the reason
And like the thing's sick.
the reason I've never gotten into that is because I've never started. Like if I had a space, like let's say if I had like over like where my desk is, if I like started hanging up discs, like started making a collection, then I would get into it quick. Because like I grew up, I had all kinds of collections. I had a rock collection.
I have
I had a shark tooth collection.
I have like 1,000 basketball cards just in bins that I've been going through slowly and flipping.
I had a flat penny collection. That was a pretty cool one. But
they were making fun of me because I started selling my basketball cards.
Who was?
Y'all. What do you mean who?
I wasn't making fun of you.
I don't remember making fun of you for
Nobody
that.
made fun of you for that. What are you talking about?
When I came in, I was all excited because I sold a LeBron James rookie for like $300.
I promise you I didn't make fun of you. I might have been like, oh, wow, I might have been like nagged at you because you sold
I
it
don't even
instead
think
of
I
holding it.
acknowledge that.
Y'all made fun of me for like a week straight because then the next day I sold a Russell Westbrook for
I remember this,
$250.
but are you gaslighting me right now? We
No,
did
I'm
not
dead
make fun of you for a
serious.
week straight.
I'm
did
dead
not.
serious.
I don't remember formulating
even
a
say
single joke about that.
anything
I
on
probably
that
said,
topic.
oh, why'd you sell it? Like you should have hold on to it. But I didn't say like, I wasn't making jokes like, oh, here comes Mr. Basketball Card Man. You gonna buy a Ferrari with your basketball card money? Like,
That's the exact type of jokes you were making.
I promise you that was the first time I've even tried to think of something like that.
My first ace was with
I think we've gotten so far into your head that like you
Yeah,
just
that's-
like think we make fun of you at all times.
No, I can promise you
we didn't.
Maybe like you thought we were gonna make fun of you for it. And you
No,
were
I
prepared for
know.
that, and then we did it, and then you just like created it in your mind.
All right,
You
we'll
should see
talk about it
somebody
later.
about that.
We'll talk about it later because I can quote the jokes you're making towards me.
I'd love to hear that.
But that's completely irrelevant to Grip Locked. So we're going to move on. Before we get into anything else, I do want to give a quick shout out because I wanted to go ahead and say, now that it's official, that we're going to be at USDGC. And we're going to be having ourselves a good old time down there.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a lot of media, some post-round shows. I don't want to spoil too much of what we have.
we're gonna
planned for
ace
that week.
hole 17.
But pretty excited that we're going to be down there filming for that week. We got a bunch of stuff that'll be happening down on our channel, and huge shout out to them. They've been super easy to work with. When I sent the initial email, I expected just to get a hard like, you guys are idiots, no.
Yeah.
And instead, they welcomed us with open arms, and they've basically like anything we've asked for, they've been like, absolutely, we can make that happen. You know, I'll have someone meet you out there and do X, Y, and Z. So I've been very impressed. I'm very excited. We're about a month away from USDGC. We talk about USDGC almost every podcast just because we love that tournament so much. So super excited to be down there, but not as a spectator this time. Down there with like in the ropes, creating content. That's going to be one heck of a week. So
Yeah, it's gonna
definitely be
awesome.
on the lookout for that. I think we're all extremely excited to be able to be down there and work with them on a bunch of different stuff. But let's get into what went down last weekend. We had the Delaware Disc Golf Challenge, and we had Connor O'Reilly getting his first big win. His biggest win was a B tier. He wins his first national tour by 2 strokes over Austin Hannum and Ricky, who were tied for second.
He's having a quietly good season.
Well, yes and no, because this is what we've kind of been talking about throughout this entire year. There's just so many players that could win on tour now, right?
Yeah.
Because after this win, he's placed 20th in the world, according to UDisc rankings. But if you look at the dominance index, which is what they changed to see where you're ranked, with how much he jumped before going into the week, he was the 70th best player in the world.
I had just been noticing that
He has 1 or 2 good finishes.
he has like 3 or 4 like top 40s. Like he's been
top 40s.
He's been like
he's had 1 or 2 top 10s.
Right. He's been like hanging around. There's not many tournaments that he showed up to and like blown up, which not really many players can say. So he's been having a consistent season where he's like cashing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is like those type of players, like Connor O'Reilly a few years ago, is not beating a field with like Ricky and Calvin in it.
Yeah, no, that was.
But now
impressive.
this year, here we go. You know what I mean? This is what we've been talking about. The parity's coming, and it's coming fast because now every week anyone could win. We also had Austin Hannum absolutely storming back. He got a very sick ace on hole. I think it was 15. It was like a 400-foot flex forehand. And the only thing that was bad about the ace, but there's no way around it, was he couldn't react immediately because he couldn't tell it went in because it was so far away and over the hill.
Yeah.
So like he threw it. He's like, oh yeah, that's like a good shot. Walked off. And then the GK Pro catch cam guy radioed in and was like, that went in. And then he like turned around and was like, what? And then they all like freaked out. I think Bradley Williams or someone was up next on the tee. And I was like, threw his disc up in the air. I was like, well, I'm not even throwing now. It was such a ridiculous ace. So
that is sick.
And it was also a crucial moment because that eventually put him at 20 under, which was one behind Connor when Connor still had like 2 holes to play.
Yeah.
So
pressure on.
Ricky was like still a few strokes back, but Austin was in the clubhouse at 20 under when I think Connor was at like 21 under with 2 to play. So it put some pressure on him for those last few holes, but he was able to hold it out and end up taking it down by 2 over both Austin and Ricky. Other thing that Delaware did was y'all's little dark horse curse transfer last week. It worked.
I told you.
This is the first time that it's worked in this fashion.
We spoke it into existence.
You made my player not even show up for the event.
It's
He just the day of the event.
You can call it the curse or me sending blackmail. It's whatever you want to call it.
I pick him on a Thursday.
I sent him. I said you don't show up.
I pick him Wednesday, and then by the time the podcast came out in like Friday morning, he's off the list.
Yeah, he's on a Carnival cruise, all expenses paid by Connor Kennedy.
He's just gone. So I end up losing. Which one of you even won? I didn't even pay attention.
I did.
So I know last week I made this whole speech of like we got to put coffee in. So here's my coffee cup from last week. I'll get you coffee after the show. So that way you have a visual.
Very disappointing.
For me, it's about the message. It was never about the coffee.
No, mainly it's not about the coffee because that would mess your stomach up.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you a hot chocolate from Sheets.
It's like
What do
80
you want,
degrees
Trevor?
out typically. I mean, it is rainy
It
today.
is pouring rain all day today
I feel like we should preface and tell everybody why it sounds like an echo chamber in here.
because we've moved our warehouse.
There's
I just feel like
nothing
it's
here.
better if they know that
If they
we
know that we know that it's an
Yes.
echo. I
Yeah.
felt like it didn't sound that bad. But anyways, if you're wondering why
It
we
is
sound
coming
like
down out there.
it's an echo chamber in
It sounds
here,
like I've put reverb on you guys'
it's
voices.
because Connor made us record
Yeah.
in his bathroom.
No, it's
so
because
we're
Connor
just
thought we sounded cooler with an echo
Yeah,
effect.
Connor was like, I tried out these sick reverb things. No, we moved our entire warehouse, and we're sitting in what's going to be our in-person store eventually. But when you
It's just
take
like
everything out of a
glorified
room,
landfill right now.
when you take everything out of a room, spoiler alert, it makes it echoey. Who would have known? So we're gonna get some curtains and stuff up in here as like a temporary fix next week. But for this week, hopefully it's not too bad. On the FPO side of Delaware, we had Katrina Allen winning by 10 strokes, shooting an 11 under final round. Which
Now,
actually,
where was Paige?
Paige was boycotting the event.
She was gone.
We'll talk about that in a second. But she shot an 11 under final round, which tied with her boyfriend Austin Hannum for the hot round final round. So
Were they playing the same tees?
maybe it's a little. No, the FPO had.
Okay, I was about to say, holy cow.
FPO had somewhat shorter tees. I think it might have been. I think the course played 1,000 feet shorter overall.
It's still pretty good.
But yeah, it was still a very impressive round. There was also some. She had like some sick putts. I saw it on Twitter.
Dang. It's like she gets the putter going like in just random events.
Yeah.
It probably just depends on how she starts out.
Now, is that a disc golf conspiracy? I don't know.
What?
Both shooting 11 down. I don't know. I wrote these notes so late at night last night. I just wrote disc golf conspiracy, and I was trying to catch up with myself because I had one that I was gonna fabricate, and I can't remember what it was.
What is it?
I don't know. It was like
What's the
11:30
conspiracy?
last night, and I was like, "Oh, that'd be so funny to get it to like build out this conspiracy." But I don't remember what the conspiracy was.
I bet it would have been hilarious.
It would've
Instead,
been really
I just
funny,
I
Hunter.
just sent it and said
It would've
disc golf
been-
conspiracy, hoping one of you two would pick
It
it
would
up.
have been really funny.
Well, one day we should have a disc golf conspiracy segment.
where
I
we
agree.
each just make up our best.
We just make
The
up. our
problem is, I
conspiracies.
feel like my conspiracies that would be really good would actually end up based in truth, and then I'd be washed down a river somewhere, like dead, because I actually guessed correctly.
Did you like expose?
I know too
Nick
much.
Carl's mafia
I think we
ties or something.
I think we know too much that our conspiracies, if we really tried to make them real, like we would actually guess correctly.
That's what we should
That's
do. It
true.
should be like the Michael Scott rumor. Where one
of them's
one
real.
of our three conspiracies is true, and the other two are fake.
Like
That's funny.
just make two of them like obviously fake, and so they know which one is the real one.
Oh man!
It's like Paul McBeth's actually left-handed. Katrina Allen has a prosthetic leg, and then we just like pour the real one on.
And
we go into like
Connor
detail.
wears a wig.
Yeah, Connor does wear a wig though. But go ahead.
That is true.
Sarah Hogan came in second. Holly Finley in third. I really wish I could remember that conspiracy because it was funny.
Don't worry about it.
I should have wrote more than just dang it, Hunter. Anyways, the feel of the event for me was just
was it like that they faked the ace so that he would shoot the same score? Is that
no, it definitely wasn't it. It was
She
deeper
was,
than
she
that.
was beside the basket. She just tossed it in.
It was deeper than that.
It goes deeper than that, man.
way deeper?
Yeah,
Man.
way more people were connected in this
There's
conspiracy.
a lot of people.
There's a lot of high ups at the Pro Tour that were involved.
Okay,
I
Sure,
don't
that's
remember what it
great.
was.
Maybe you dreamed it.
Maybe I did. I don't know. The feel of this event, though, something about it just didn't draw me in. And I was talking to Brody because normally Brody and I are texting back and forth about what live disc golf's going on, and he was in the same boat. And then I was texting you. You were kind of in the same boat. Were you drawn into the event, Connor?
Not necessarily, no.
Yeah. And the live views were down. There was like 7,000 people watching the final round, the final holes on YouTube, which normally I feel like it's over 10. I think sometimes we've seen close to 15,000. So I put a poll out on our Twitter, which shout out if you are a Twitter person like we are. Then we just started a new Twitter for this show specifically. It's at GripLockedPod, the GripLocked Podcast. So we'll tweet out, like for instance, I tweet out a poll so I can get some statistics for today's show, but also we'll tweet out clips, funny instances. Maybe if I ever think up this conspiracy theory, we'll actually record it and put it on there. Who knows what's going to be on there? But I tweeted out, how did you feel about the Delaware Challenge? I gave people super into it, kind of paid attention to it, and didn't watch it. Got a decent amount of responses. 14% said they were super into it. 53% said kind of paid attention to it, which I think that's where I would put myself. Like I watched the UDisc scores, kind of knew what was going on, and 31% said they just didn't watch it. So that's interesting to me.
I bet that 31%, and I'm not sure what the number is, but I bet still to this day there is a few thousand people potentially, or at least a few hundred people that are only going to watch live if Paul's in contention.
I didn't even say live. I just said
only pay attention if Paul's in contention.
Oh, like the tournament at all?
I bet he still carries that kind of weight to where like, Paul wasn't even there to begin with. But like I bet when he's in contention to win, that increases the viewership a lot. He just has a lot of pool still.
I don't know. I think if it had been a Pro Tour event
I think it also
with the
has to do-
same field, because obviously the field was part of it. But if it was a Pro Tour event with the exact same field, I feel like it would have drawn me in.
Yeah. Also, the guy who was in the lead and like tracking to win was somebody that most people probably didn't even know who he was.
But I feel like that's like a bigger story. Like I got to see if Ricky chases this guy down.
Disc golf is kind of, I don't know though. Disc golf is interesting. Like a lot of times people don't get into that as much.
Maybe. I think it was also like, I think Eagle was protesting it because of how Worlds went down. Paige was protesting it because of U.S. Women's, because it was a national tour. Paul, I don't think was protesting. I think he just was skipping it because of he went to Am Worlds and then came back and went a week off.
Yeah.
But the field in general was a little bit on the weaker side, but I don't even think that was my main reason. I didn't care. I think it's just the national tours are dead.
Yeah, I don't really care about the national tour anymore.
Like when I hear national tour, I think national tours at this point feel like Silver Series to me. Almost.
Yeah, they do.
They just have that same vibe. Where it's like, yeah, I know they're going on. I'll talk about the results. I'll pay attention to UDisc Live, but I have no idea who the national tour points leader is right now.
I think it was Paul.
So I mean that shows you how little he cares. Actually, let's look it up. Let's look up the national tour point standings.
What was the last NT?
Could not even tell you.
Why do I feel like it just happened? I had just seen on Instagram them posting about the NT standings, and like Paul was like at 255, and like he had like a 20-point lead.
National tour. Where are the points? 2021 series points. Where's the standings?
Did you sort it?
Point standings. All right. So Ricky is in the lead. This is after Delaware.
All right, so he probably took the lead.
Ricky is in the lead only by 4 points. So I don't know if Paul's planning on playing Music City. It goes Ricky, Paul, Calvin, Kevin Jones. Has Eagle just not even... There's Eagle. Eagle's only played 3 of them.
Yeah.
No, he's only played 2 of them. He's only played 2. Yeah, so very interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you thought. If you felt like we're crazy and that you thought that you were just die hard paying attention to the Delaware Disc Golf Challenge, or if you're in the same boat as us and you're just like, nah.
I think
I knew it was going on, but like, what is it?
I was saying earlier, like the NT for me, like an NT is only going to generate hype if A, the field is good enough, and B, if it's like one of the like prestigious NTs. Like Delaware is not a really prestigious national tour. I'm sorry, Delaware people. Like it's a cool course over there. It just hasn't been around as long as some of the other ones. Like if this is Beaver State Fling, which is like a really notable NT, or even like Music City at least has been around, I think, a little bit longer. I might be wrong on that. But some of those, like I may have still paid attention to if the field was there, but Delaware, like it's an NT, field's kind of weak. It doesn't have a ton of prestige as an event. So
I would be surprised if the NTs are still there next year.
No chance.
I'd be surprised if they stuck around. If they stick around, it's just the PDGA refusing to let go of their pride.
Yeah, they're going to be gone.
Because they need to absorb into, like, Delaware is a great Silver Series event. Something like Beaver State Fling, which I think
they should take some of the events.
Some of them are great Pro Tour events. Some are great Silver Series events. They can all still exist. So there's like the Delaware at Iron Hill, like that still exists. It's a better Silver Series event than a Pro Tour event. Because I heard a lot of people talking about the course. Like they didn't really like the course.
The good Silver Series events draw in really like Goat Hill and some of the other.
There's still a good way to get,
like they get good fields.
Yeah, and they're a good way to get more points because we're gonna talk about later. There's only 2 Pro Tour events left this year. About to hit them both back to back. Oh, wow. And see who's positioned right now to make the tour finale and who's positioned right now to win the Pro Tour points.
We've got MVP, GMC, USDGC, Music City. Well, I'm going out of order. Here we go. Battle for Bedford here. Put that on your schedule. Then Music City, then USDGC, right?
Yeah, and then the Pro Tour finale.
And then the finale. Crazy how close we're getting to the finale.
We're almost at the end of the season.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, when things get to the East Coast swing, they really start picking up.
Yeah.
This next part isn't exactly a topic, but I was scrolling through Reddit and because I was looking for like a good controversial topic.
Well, that's where you'll find it.
I just thought this was one of the funniest posts I've ever read.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it said, maybe it's just funny to me. I don't know. It kind of fits into what we were talking about some last week, but the title was Prodigy Pyramid Scheme.
Oh, yes.
And then it says, so does anyone actually throw Prodigy, or is it all some sort of pampered chef Mary Kay pyramid scheme? I'm yet to meet someone who throws Prodigy discs who's not sponsored.
That is so funny.
I was just thinking because Prodigy's the one with the street team.
Let me tell you something.
And so when we were talking about last week, like all the sponsored players, like street team and all that.
They do go heavy on their street team.
Yeah.
But we also talked about last week, you got to remember about Prodigy that like they're pretty big over in Europe. Here's the thing about Prodigy, and we are all very familiar with Prodigy.
Yeah.
Because we threw it in college. We had like a little deal with our college team. So the thing about Prodigy is their product can be very good, just as good as pretty much any other company's product. Absolutely. Like they have some plastic blends that are great. They have molds across pretty much all of their every kind of stability and speed that are great. The problem with Prodigy that we always seem to find was originally, so when Prodigy first came out, everything they made was super overstable. It was great for pros, but it was not good for amps. So then they decided to retool everything. And then all of a sudden, everything was way too understable. So that was when we kind of hopped on the Prodigy train. And we found that we have all these like D1s and F1s, the most stable stuff, and they flip. And we were like, well, what are the pros throwing? And we looked at the pros, and they're all throwing the old stuff still. So like their bag, like you couldn't even get their bag. So like that was
I
like
DM'd. I would DM like Zach Melton was with him at the time, and Chris Dickerson and them, and I'd be like, yo, what am I supposed to throw for a headwind driver? They're like, you gotta find a Bowling Green D3 from like 2016.
That's what I'm saying. Now,
I was like, I'm gonna go pay $95 for one driver.
Now, here's the thing. Apparently, according to our Prodigy inside source, Justin Rozak, they just recently have retooled stuff again, like the D1s and stuff, and he said they're stable again. So they fixed. Because here's the thing. Another thing about them is sometimes
fool me once.
You could get
on you.
You could get
Fool me
400.
twice.
You could get like 400 plastic, for example. 400 blend is supposed to be like you're like champ. You're like clear. kind of most durable. You could get that same plastic bend and it could look like 3 different plastics depending on just which one you get. Their transitions are kind of interesting. Now, I will say though, like you get your hands on like a good A2, an F5. I had some really good D2s. All of their mids
the
really.
Yeah.
M2, 3s,
They make
and
some of the
4s.
best mids and putters in the game.
Yeah, they have Prodigy has
If you
some
get
very
your
good
hands
stuff.
on the right runs, Prodigy's amazing. If you just go to the store and buy a Prodigy disc, 50-50 chance if you're gonna like it or not.
It depends what you get though.
If you buy an M4, you're always gonna like an M4.
If you want to,
if you buy,
I don't know about that.
I haven't thrown an M4 I didn't like.
We got some
just
one
can't-
year
you
that were
can't-
super overstable and like
You just can't expect it to be anything. You have to throw the disc. You can't. That was my whole issue. When I played for Prodigy, right?
you just gotta throw it and take it for what it is.
You gotta just wipe
Even
your
if you
best
lose
bet.
your M4, you can't go expecting to have that same M4.
You get the disc, you wipe the stamp before you get to the field, so you don't know what you're throwing, and you
And
just
you
chuck
just
it,
throw
and
it.
you're like, "Wow, that's super overstable. I love it. What
That's
was
a
that?
fun- that's
Oh, that's
a-
my M4."
That's a fun one. Yeah, that's an interesting way.
My
to
most
think about it.
overstable driver that I used all through college was a like 168 D3.
Yeah, the old D3s.
That was my
were-
headwind driver.
The old D3s were stable.
It wasn't even old.
Really.
It was just they sent it with our allotment.
That's interesting.
And my flippiest one, a D1. So
Yeah.
you just got to ignore the numbers, just grab the disc and chuck it, and
That
you'll
is
you'll
so
have fun.
funny.
But if you find a disc that you like, you'll really like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll love it. Just don't ever lose it.
Yeah, some of my
because
favorite.
you'll never find it again.
Some of my favorite discs. I would say if you're looking for the safest bet in like something to try Prodigy, I've heard this PMS, the Ace line.
Yeah, the P Model S.
The P Model S, the Ace line disc. Those are all consistent. The Ace line
Yeah,
stuff.
I've
Well,
heard.
the
I
P-
haven't thrown a P Model S yet.
And I've heard.
Amazing.
I mean, one
P
disc.
Model
and I heard the
US
P Model US is great.
It's stable. It's not understable.
So I've heard that those are good, and these are all pretty
And the
consistent.
FX2
FX2,
is sick.
really good.
All
And
their
then,
newer stuff.
If you get like a baseline, like M2 or M3, those are going to be a solid bet. PA3s are typically always going to be pretty
Yeah,
decent.
PA3. I've never had a bad PA3.
Yeah,
There's some that are like flat instead of concave.
Prodigy.
And they just are.
Prodigy.
eh.
Prodigy. You know what's funny is when I was first getting into disc golf, Prodigy. I was in disc golf when Prodigy came onto the scene. like,
Yeah.
that first year. And I remember one of the first tournaments I ever went to, there was this guy who sold discs out of his van. I think his name was like Devin or something. I forget what the name of his company
Classic.
was. But I like went up to him, and this is when Prodigy had probably only been around for like less than a year, I would like to say. And I walk up to him and I'm like, and I had never felt Prodigy, but to me, like this brand looks so cool. And I was like, do you have any of that Prodigy stuff? Like, I'd love to like check it out. And he's like, yeah, I'll have to get it out of my van. I don't really put it out anymore. Like nobody really wants it anymore. And this was like months after they had come out. So like, Prodigy was almost like a really weird swing
Well,
and a
the
miss.
issue when they first came out, I should be able to say this. When they first came out, pretty much most of the pros that switched over, there was a reason there wasn't in the bags for Prodigy for a long time because most of the pros
talking about,
were
dude, they released all those in the bags. But
but it was a decent bit after because a lot of the top pros were just throwing Innova discs with Prodigy stamps on it.
I suspected that those in the bags that they released originally were a little bit shammed because they didn't seem to
It's
know.
like, this is
a
my
lot.
PA3. Don't look at the bottom that says
Well,
KC AVR.
Not like that. I meant like I think they just like picked out discs.
Oh,
that
you think they
would
filled their
like.
bag.
Right? Yeah. Because
Nowadays, it's all legit.
yeah.
But I think, well, back then, when it's a new company, I don't know. The early stages of Prodigy, I think, put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth
If
because
Prodigy-
a lot of stuff on the pro scene and other ways went down weird. And so I think a lot of people just had like an initial bad taste with Prodigy, and it takes a lot of time to get rid of that bad taste versus like a good first impression. Then you just
Their
keep
brand
it around.
was also a shakeup to the disc golf world because they went with like the M1, D1, like the more professional. Like
I love the naming system,
Right.
But it backs you into a corner.
Yeah, I think it backs you into a corner too quickly. I think
What do you
it's
do
boring.
whenever you want to come out with something more
Yeah,
safe?
I
than
think-
Like, what do you
D1?
do when your D1 flips?
Yeah,
Right,
Here we are.
D0, D
Yeah.
negative one.
Well,
I
then they
think-
made the X1, which is amazing,
I think if this company
and
were-
now they don't make it anymore.
if this company were to come along nowadays where the sport's headed with that more modern, like professional brand approach, then I think it may have even latched on better. But back then it was a little strange because everybody was throwing discs that like they were used to a certain way of like discs being named and like the system of how it worked.
If you're in the right area, though, Prodigy is all you'll see.
It can be very popular.
There's like a hotbed in Tennessee. around, I think in Georgia too.
Yeah.
There's like a few, we're like on the edge of it, so we see a lot more Prodigy than some places. I've heard like on the West Coast, it's probably way more true that like you don't see someone throw Prodigy unless you're sponsored.
I mean, I kind of feel like that's still true for where we are.
Well, here we see a lot
school.
of street team and people at Liberty who are basically on the street team.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is true.
That's the gist of it.
That's the gist.
I mean, well,
You'll see people sneak M4s and PA3s and stuff like that in their bag.
This area is like a hotbed that's like we've had a scene for a while, but it's been very much taken over. Like the COVID burst brought, I would say, if you took 100% of our field right now, I would say like more than half of them came from the COVID burst.
Probably.
And like, so they're all throwing Discraft.
Yeah.
It's just, you're seeing just Zeus's and Buzzes everywhere. It's so weird because when I got into disc golf, it was Innova. Like that was what you threw.
Yeah. When I read that post though, I was just dying laughing.
So funny.
It was someone who's like, you could tell he was like being somewhat funny, but also someone serious where he's like, does anyone actually throw this?
I love hearing like perspectives from like people who might be like newer to the sport to not understand the background of Prodigy, and like they observe something and they just write out how they're feeling on like Reddit. Like I want to see more of that. Like people who are new to the sport, if you see something that's just confusing the heck out of you, like tweet at us or something, like so we can look at it from our perspective and be like, yeah, that is kind of funny.
Yeah, because sometimes it just makes sense.
Notice we're not making fun of this guy. We like it. It's just funny.
No, I just read it. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah,
because like that's probably exactly how I'd feel right now.
Yeah,
because I just see, because everyone you see post about it on Facebook has that Prodigy street team around their Facebook profile. They're telling you M4s are the only thing to throw.
Yeah.
Well, that's like my friend that asked me why I liked Paul Macbeth so much.
I think it'd be funny if you put the Prodigy.
That's another interesting one.
Yeah.
If you put the Prodigy street
we don't
team
need to talk
in
about
your
that
Twitter
right
profile picture, that'd be funny. What did you see? All like how many street teams you can get on? Like see if you can get like on 5 different ones.
all of them, and just
have all of their logos, like the Infinity Stones of street teams.
That'd be funny.
That'd be
I wonder
great.
they don't. That'd be so easy. I might have to do that. Get
get
on
on
Team
multiple
Trilogy,
ones.
Prodigy Street Team, Gateway Underground, Discraft Underground. What would be a fifth one?
Rockstars.
Ooh, Innova Rockstars would be the toughest because I feel like they actually treat that seriously. Somewhat.
They would never message you back.
Why is that personal experience?
Yeah, have you been hurt
I
by
don't know.
them?
I don't know if they know how to use computers over there.
What
that
are you
supposed to
talking about?
mean?
It's so old, dude. Innova's so old.
No, dude, they're giving us the keys to the kingdom at USDGC, man.
Innova's storming back. People are starting to
hope
realize.
They do. I hope they do.
I don't know.
Everyone left their.
I have to
rocks and-
say, I think that the Bogey Bros are a little bit responsible for bringing Innova back because
I will not possibly take. This is what's responsible for bringing Innova back. I'll explain it in one sentence.
All right,
not one
explain
sentence. 10 seconds. Paul left Innova. Mm-hmm. Everyone freaked out. Left Innova. Was like, dude, I gotta start trying all this discraft. And then they realized the Thunderbirds and the Rocks and the T-Birds and the Destroyers, they are staples in the game for a reason. Not that Discraft doesn't have discs that are like it, but you got to go back to them. Like when I threw a KC Pro Rock again, I was like, that's what I've been missing. Frick. When I threw my Thunderbirds again, people in the Bogey Bro battles were commenting and they're like, dude, Hunter has gotten so much better. I was like, no, I put Innova back in my bag. I put my Thunderbirds and Rocks back in my bag. That's what I was missing.
Paying this guy.
No, that's all I was missing.
Hunter's been paid off by
No,
Innova.
because the Onyx for me was
That's
too
a
stable.
conspiracy for
There's
you.
a conspiracy. The Onyx for me was too stable. The Buzz, I just didn't like the feel in my hand, and the Vulture, I wanted to be my Thunderbird, but was too flippy. So I was just missing, and before that was my game, was Rocks and Thunderbirds. And I was missing it.
I think
and so once I
Innova
put it
has-
back in my bag, then I was just back in my comfort zone.
Innova's got a great thing going. The only thing about Innova and like being a part of the Innova community and throwing Innova that's a bummer, at least in my experience, is like you just mentioned, those molds you just mentioned, those are the same molds that those guys are going to throw forever. Innova can come out with whatever they want, and every once in a blue moon, one of the pros might adopt a new mold, so you might see some Innova guys throw them, but it's kind of boring. Whereas like Discraft,
Good golf's not boring, man.
or like other companies, I feel like are trying
No, they're
hard
able.
to like
They're
push
able
new
to
molds.
get new molds. Like the Raptor didn't exist a few years. a few
I was
years
saying,
ago.
like Innova, like you're always good. Now the Thunderbird, because like the Thunderbird was probably the last mold to shake it up, and that was years and years ago.
Yeah, and the reason it got shook up was because Paul started throwing
Paul
Thunderbird.
started throwing it, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing about Innova. Like if you're gonna throw Innova,
If they
get ready
get-
for a boring life. You
I
might
mean,
play well, but
Ricky-
you're gonna have a boring life.
Ricky's put a lot of pigs in players' bags.
You're right, but that's
If they get a player like Ricky, I think is throwing a pretty basic end of a bag plus like the pig, and he started punting with whales, but so maybe he's not throwing a basic end of a bag. But beyond that, like if they get a player who's like, nah, dude, the crate is where it's at. The crate is it, and starts throwing a crate all over the place. I just think it's the player's responsibility. That the company can't do anything about that. It's the player's responsibility to pick up discs and start freaking out over them.
I was just
You're right.
saying that I think that you saying stuff about it, Hunter, has made people think about it more. Think about
Here's the-
maybe I should try a few Innova discs.
Here's just the other thing, though. Along with that point, is that Innova never is always scared to touch the original mold. So other than making the T-Bird 3 and whatever, they've never said,
Great disc.
here's a better destroyer and like tried the market. Or here's a better T-Bird. Here's our new T-Bird that's better. Here's our better rock.
Well, who's ever saying that?
What? Well, like
Discraft didn't come out with the Zeus
Okay.
and say, "Here's the better force."
yeah,
you would never bad talk
But
your
they
molds.
went to not actively saying that, but they basically Paul went to Discraft and they created a new flagship distance driver. Innova has never created a flagship. Destroyer has been their flagship distance driver for all of eternity.
I think
They've never
if Innova,
if
the
Ricky
disc-
went to them and he said what's like your ideal destroyer? Let's make that already out of the box a new disc and let's make that our new flagship driver.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the disc Innova's missing is the Zeus.
Right.
That's just like one step, like because the Force and the Destroyer are very similar. So just one step down.
That's what I'm saying. They don't
Which
ever
is like a
push the
slightly
envelope with
beat
that
in
stuff.
Destroyer. If they made that, I mean,
They don't push the
I
envelope
probably
with
wouldn't
that
throw it
type of
because I have a
stuff.
Zeus in my bag. But like a lot of people would throw it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I feel like they've kind of sat and settled on their molds that are great.
They've
They
been
are
trying to-
they are amazing, but like as a fan,
They've been trying to
can be
reinvent
kinda
the
boring.
putter. I feel like they try a lot more with their putters. They still have not been able to recreate the zone. The only company that's come close, which I don't know which company came
they have
first,
the
was
rat, and
the
it's
Harp.
pretty darn similar.
But the rat just doesn't. It just doesn't.
I've never thrown it.
It has like no
it's not
glide.
as stable.
I feel like.
It's not. I don't feel like it's not stable.
Yeah, I think that's what I've heard with most of them. Is even the AVR X3, like they all just end up going straight when it's all said and done.
The X3 is pretty stable. Not as stable
But it's
as
not
Zone.
as stable as a zone. Like, I don't know why Innova hasn't been able to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe they're not trying that
Because for
hard.
a long
Yeah, so I
time it
don't
was
know if
like
it's a matter of-
everybody was just throwing the Gator,
Yeah,
and that was
and now
their
it's
zone.
a pig, which the
Yeah.
pig flies like a zone. It just feels different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it's
Maybe they're just happy.
They want to move pigs for Ricky, I guess. So why would they make it a zone?
That's true. That's true.
I like the feel of the pig quite a bit, honestly. I'd love to try one of those out. I remember the one time I wanted to get a pig though. I was actually at Nationals one year and all of them had domes, and I'm like, well, that's
Yeah, you got to find a flat pig.
Yeah.
They will come out runny. That's one thing about the zone is I have seen maybe one domey zone in my entire life.
Well, then you didn't see one of the runs we got like a few months ago because every single one had a dome.
Never mind, I lied. I feel like most zones, most
Almost
zones I've
every
seen,
time they come out perfectly board
the
flat.
only like
Occasionally.
weird zone I've ever seen has been concave runs, but that's not bad.
And that's sick.
That's
No,
amazing.
Yeah, we've had like one run that like probably had 50 or 60 with a little bit of a dome to it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Not often though.
Well, there's a tangent for you. One thing I want to talk about too before we got into Trevor's trivia, which this I think will go a little bit faster through now, was we were talking about this yesterday with someone who was coming in helping us fill all these orders for the TI Undertaker drop that just happened. As we were saying, like, at what point is there going to be a breakthrough in like disc golf form or something that like someone, like our sport's so young that someone thinks of something that no one's thought of, and it's like that becomes the new standard, because that happens in other sports. But then I also started researching a little bit, and I noticed that where this happens the most in other sports is actually in the rules. So for instance, Bob Curlin and George McCann in 1944 were the highest jumpers in basketball, and so they would just stand in front of the basket and swat everything away, forcing the goaltending rule to become a thing.
Right.
Ed Walsh used to use spitball. I don't know exactly what that is, but to his advantage in baseball, and was so good at it, and it was so hard to hit that other pitchers started
A
using
lot
it.
of guys use their mucus.
And then eventually it was banned.
It was like just a substance to get more spin on the ball.
So eventually that was banned. Wilt Chamberlain would leap from the free throw line. I think this was funny. He would leap from behind the free throw line on foul shots and either dunk or lay up. instead of shooting the free throw, which forced the rule to be created that you couldn't cross the line until the ball hit the rim, and then eventually changed where it is now, where you couldn't cross until it left your hand. So I just want to think, what is the breakthrough, either in form or rules, that we think is most likely to happen, and who will force it to happen? To give you an idea, I can go first unless you have a good idea.
I think, well, I would say one of them is going to be standardized T-pad lengths, and like James Conrad will be like, James Conrad is going to like get injured or something, and that's going to force that matter.
Interesting.
There's going to, I think, smaller baskets is going to be one, possibly. That one's tough if that's going to happen or not, but I think that could happen, and that's the whole field would be the ones forcing that. And then as far as like, what is your idea?
So the one I came up with, I think it's hard to imagine a throw being banned, but if we were to imagine it, the one I was thinking was the grenade.
Banning it
Because
you have to throw the disc
right now.
Why on earth would you ban it?
So hear me out.
Okay.
Right now, only one I can imagine being banned is the grenade, because it allows players to go straight up in overholes in an unnatural fashion. So there's no real way to build a course, because if you cut the fairway in, you're going to have the open space above you.
Yeah.
And a grenade can literally just go straight up and down. So it allows players to kind of cut corners.
But we barely ever see a grenade used.
Right now. But Eagle started using it, and now Kevin Jones has started using it, and there's a lot of young players that I've seen starting practicing it. So if you get someone who can throw a grenade 450,
so what's
the
rule?
I could just see it becoming an illegal throw.
But like, is that literally the wording? Like, you cannot throw the grenade type throw.
Okay, I didn't write out the rule. I was just
thinking,
thinking of like, I could see that breaking.
If you say upside down disc, then you can't throw like tomahawks and thumbers and stuff.
It would probably be like the grenade, just like if you ban, I don't know, like there's
I'm
technical
saying, how
rules
would
like
you
that.
word that rule so that there's not like a loophole? Like, you can't hold, like, it'd have to be a way that you're holding the disc and throwing. You can't I feel like you can't just say you can't throw a grenade tile shot, because like, what does that even mean?
I don't know. Maybe like you can't hold the disc upside down and throw it like a backhand.
Yeah.
Motion. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Not gonna happen.
Throw wise, that's the only throw I could see like breaking the game.
Yeah, I don't.
Because like if people got good enough at it, then woods golf wouldn't matter, because you could just chuck straight up and over.
There's a lot of luck.
But there's
involved
still
in that.
canopy.
Yeah, there's still like
Somewhat.
And you still have to hit a line to go up over the trees.
I see where
But
you
your
were
line
going
is
with
just
that.
straight up.
I see where you're going with that. But
It's a lot different than having to shape a shot.
I have
down
a
the fairway.
hard time believing.
What made me think about it
grenade's
was
gonna get
Chris Dickerson. I don't think
breaking
it's going to actually ever get banned, but I was thinking if there was a throw, that was the throw. Because, like, for instance, hole 9, the hole that Chris Dickerson aced backhand putter, it's like a technical straight shot, bench to the right. Kevin Jones just went grenade every time. And just chucked it straight up, let it fall straight down. So he never had to go down the technical route.
If you asked me 4 years ago, I would have said any overhand, because I always said that, like, because it would make me so angry whenever I would go play with people and I was throwing the disc the right way, and they would and there are people who just had one DX disc and they would just throw tomahawks everywhere, and they would just go straight down the fairway. But now that like I've had more experience playing with better people, I see people throw overhands and like do it well, like not just because they can't throw anything else, but because they can do it really well. They can shape it. Yeah, and I wouldn't say anything.
I would say the easier way to fix that problem is just to implement a mando. If you're worried about people cutting it off, like just make it a height mando.
Probably. I'm just saying that's the only
easier fix.
When I was thinking
if there was a
throw that was going to be banned,
you're right.
I think it'd be the grenade.
I don't know if I couldn't think of a better idea.
That's the only one I could think of like, because like most of these were like someone did something and it just broke the game. Like it's like that's not how the game should be played, so we have to force a rule.
Yeah.
And the only throw I could think of was grenades. People were just like, oh, it's a horseshoe? Okay, I'm gonna just chuck it straight up and over and
the other rule.
Park this par
actually,
4
you know
instead
what?
of going out and around.
You know,
the only way to fix that is to play inside.
The other only rule like I could think of is the circle's edge moving out. I think that could be soon. Even.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because guys like James Conrad who just do not miss from 40
I could
feet.
see.
Yeah.
I thought about
They're
that.
stepping like halfway to the basket.
I also said step putt. I thought could be banned because you can have your foot so close that like it's almost like you're putting from closer.
Make it so that your foot can't pass your lie.
Until it'd almost be something like your feet can't cross the line until your disc has been released from your hand.
You'd have to say step. I would say that the way to fix that is just to make the circle bigger, because you'd have to be able to like what if. Well, I guess it doesn't. I guess
Well,
it
because
doesn't-
the other thing
you
is
can never cross your
you
line,
could also
period.
potentially eventually see run-ups only being allowed on the tee.
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
The problem
Then
with
once
that,
you're in the fairway.
the problem with that rule is it would take away the epic try to reach a par 5 shot.
I'm just talking if we're changing rules.
Yeah, that
Like
would
what
be crazy.
what would be like? Yeah, I don't think that
would
will
be
ever
it.
happen. I could see the step putt being banned at some point in disc golf. That's probably more realistic than
see
the
that.
grenade being banned.
I mean, at
Just
this
because if
point,
you're at 35 feet and you go to step putt, you can have a circle's edge putt realistically,
Yeah.
and yet you have like more momentum. Going
I mean,
towards
look
it.
at the rules that are being proposed right now for the PDGA. Anything's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might ban backhands at
They
this
might ban
point
baskets. Just go back to tone poles.
because it's
just-
kind of crazy.
Yeah. But realistically, I think a breakthrough wise, much more likely is just something with form, because I feel like our disc golf form has been explored, but not explored to the full extent, like possibility wise.
I thought of a really good one, but I can't say it on the podcast.
I mean, that could mean anything. I'm just thinking like backhand or forehand form. Like once we are able to use the amount of science and technology that's available to the world as a whole, I feel like people are going to start noticing like, oh, why on earth are disc golfers doing blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
They should be doing
Blah, blah, blah.
They should be doing blah, 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 blah. If you reverse that and play it at half speed, you'll hear the secrets to disc golf. All right. With that being said, it's time for the fan favorite segment, Trevor's Trivia. What do you
Okay.
got?
I had about 2 minutes to cook this up, but I think I got a pretty fun idea. And that idea is we're going to do a little disc golf spelling bee.
Oh, gosh.
So I'm going to go.
I suck at spelling.
I know. Well, I'll start you off easy. I'm going to go into the Pro Tour standings and find some names.
Oh, we're going names.
Yes.
Even worse. I was thinking Hyzer, Heiser.
And I'm going to get progressively more difficult as I go on. And we'll just see how well you can do. Oh, this is going to be great because there's so many that are like kind of difficult because of like one letter. We're going to start out pretty easy.
Okay.
Your first name, your first word is Adam Hammes.
Can you use it in a sentence? I'm
Adam
just kidding. I'm
Hammes
just kidding.
is not playing as good as he should this year.
Oof. ADAM.
You can like air write if that helps. You're allowed.
HAMMES. Adam Hammes.
Correct. Very good. Your next word is Calvin Heimberg.
Do I have to spell their first names?
No, we'll just go Heimberg because
Yeah.
they're all going to be the last name.
Why, you don't know how to spell his first name?
Yeah, I know how to spell
Well,
Calvin.
now I don't believe you.
Yeah, I don't
now you have to.
CALVIN.
Okay.
Okay. HEIM. Question, is it BU or BE?
Yeah, I know. I was thinking the same thing.
BURG.
Correct.
Oh, that was intense.
Wow.
Wow.
That was intense. That was
Your
riveting.
next, we'll just go to last
My heart rate's
names.
actually getting up.
Your next one is McMahon.
MCMAHON.
Correct. You knew that one. I spelled that name enough times to know it as well. I was curious. All right. Let's.
Some of these might be on the screen in front of me, but I didn't cheat.
I believe you.
I've been looking at Connor the whole
He's
time.
been making dead eye contact
Your
with me.
next last name is Hokum.
That's definitely on the screen in front of me. I definitely am not going to cheat though. HOKOM.
Correct. You just typed it out like today.
I typed it out yesterday,
So that helps.
so that did help.
All right. Let's start getting difficult because this is starting to get. Your next one is Facus.
I cheated on that one. I knew you were going to bring her up, so I looked down at Lisa Facus on my screen. So FAJKUS.
Well, you suck.
Took your screen down.
Well, that one I was just like, he's an FPO. He's going to say Facus.
Your next one is Mandujano.
MANDUJANO.
Wow, that's good. Well done.
It's so loud. Oh my god.
Your next one is Cynthia Ricciardi.
Oh, there it is.
Spell Cynthia.
Do I have to spell Cynthia first?
Yeah.
CYNTHIA.
Very well.
Okay.
I just like clapping.
I don't know if there's going to be two C's or two T's or both. RICCIO. No, it's IOTTI.
Spell the whole thing again.
I don't know. I was hoping you just kind of give it to me.
Spell the whole thing.
Ricciotti.
That's correct.
Frick yeah!
Well,
Come on!
Well done.
You're gonna move on to nationals, son.
All right, man. We're gonna have to start getting really difficult now because you're doing incredibly well. Did not expect this performance. Hunter is like playing up like he couldn't spell. Man, this is really good.
I can't spell normal words. Names, I apparently. To be fair, I've looked at the Pro Tour standings a lot.
This is my favorite
over
player.
my few years.
Roethlisberger.
And here we go. ROTH LES BERGER. Dang it, it's you.
It's LIS. You said LES. Roethlisberger.
That's not where I expected to mess up. Be honest with you. That's not the one.
Well, you had a good
Expect
run
the
there. I
unexpected.
honestly didn't expect that. The fact you got Ricciotti, that was pretty good.
That one,
Very
that was
impressive.
not on my screen.
I'm
I
very
have not seen
impressed.
that name in a while.
Well done.
I'm
That was a good
impressed.
performance. You did not embarrass yourself at all.
I'm okay with that.
And those were confident spellings. I don't think I would have done that. I would not have done that well. Well done.
Maybe we'll have to have you do it next week.
I don't want to. No, I picked the games.
All right, this weekend we got the MVP Open. We are back on the East Coast. I just love the East Coast swing of the tour. I get super excited every time.
Bias much.
Every time we get over here. There are some changes on the course that have players seem a little bit mixed. We'll have to just see how it kind of play out. I know one is like hole 8. They pushed back to like it's 380 or something like that now.
Wait, whole what now?
8 over the water.
We're not talking about whole. Oh,
And so like it used to be right on the water's edge. Now it's like,
that's the one that people were acing.
yes, now it's like 100 feet before you even get to the water.
They're like, man, let's take the most exciting hole in our course because people kept acing it. It was awesome for coverage and highlights, and let's make it so people probably won't ace it. That'll be a great idea for running our tournament. Why do you do that?
I mean, it's still gonna. I don't know.
That was like, I get that it's like if that hadn't been happening, like the aces and stuff, that had been fine. But like people were acing that hole. It was like a really exciting hole because of that. Like that was a big highlight of the tournament last year. And you're like, let's make sure that doesn't happen this year. Move the tee
I
back.
think they
100
also did
feet.
something to hole 17.
What is that about?
But hole 8.
Come on.
Hole 8's gonna be the more controversial
Why'd
one.
you do that?
I saw a bunch of TikToks of like Adam and Ezra and all these people like throwing on the hole. It was actually kind of.
I mean, it's still going to be a good hole. Like it's still a
It's still
water carry
open,
to an island.
and it's still water
I'm
carry,
just
it's still
not
an
like I'm
island.
not sure why they took that away.
I'm not sure either.
That's interesting.
But let's get into some predictions. So
Disc golfers are very obsessed with making really hard holes as much as they can.
MPO,
They're really obsessed with it.
but I mean,
Like every course you ever
Yeah,
go to, like
but
you
sometimes-
can play the red tees, the yellows, the whites, but forget all those. You're gonna want to play the death tees. My buddy and I invented them myself. So you just got to use these sticks to mark the pads, and you got to play from across the street, and you can only throw rollers. And there's like no gaps. It's awesome. Like no, it's not. I want to make birdies. Like they're obsessed with.
well,
it.
sometimes it's needed because like
You're right.
If you looked at hole 8 objectively and you took out like the actual hole, you just looked at the scores. There's probably very little scoring separation. So they're probably like, we need to add scoring separation. The issue is hole 8 was one of the most exciting holes.
Yeah, I think it was a great hole.
So like you have to, there's some holes that you have to be okay with there not being scoring separation on. And you have to be okay with it just being like a good fun hole. You know what I mean? Because there's still like, if you throw in the water, everyone else in your card, especially at the top end, everyone else in your card's 2 in it and you're going to take a 4. Like there's still a chance for a two-stroke swing. It's just now that chance is a lot bigger because now you're going to see a lot more people in the water because it's 380 feet. But yeah, there's a time and place for making hard holes. And this hole isn't even necessarily hard. It's just harder. I just thought of that TikTok sound where it's like, it's,
What's
yeah,
going on
you still
over
got
here?
a chance to move on to the next point. You still have a chance.
no, it's like, and I brought you myrrh. And he's like, thank
Murder.
you. He's like, murder. He goes, oh, Judas, no.
What made you think about that?
Because I said harder. Oh, he's like, guys, I play for you harder.
Okay. All right.
Predictions for
That could've been a
MPO.
lot worse.
Yeah,
There's a lot of other TikTok sounds I could have picked, okay?
it's true.
Predictions. On MPO, I want a little out there this week.
Now.
I got,
Yeah.
I'm going to go from my third place up.
Okay.
Third place,
I know you
Mr. Chipmunkgate himself, Michael Johansson.
I already. That's so. Why is this 2 weeks in a row you've done that?
I might have picked, I think I picked Michael Johansson last week.
What are you doing?
We're on the East Coast. He's gonna come in the top 3 at some
When
point.
does he do that?
This weekend.
Okay,
We're gonna see it. He came in
That's-
11th at Delaware.
that's not third.
This is gonna be third.
I already know who you picked to win.
If he wins, you have to put a comment in your bag.
Who did I? I'm not gonna predict my next two.
No.
Predict his predictions.
I'm not
Predict
going
my
to.
predictions. You said you know.
Scout's honor. Scout's honor. I will not change.
No,
what I'm
I want you
thinking.
to. I want to know who you think I'm gonna pick to win.
I think. Well, at least one of these two slots is going to be Kyle Klein. I bet.
You're on to me, man. Second place, Paul Macbeth, and first place, James
Kyle.
Conrad.
Oh.
Yeah, why would I pick Kyle Klein?
Because he popped off here last year.
Did he? I don't even remember that.
This is where he burst onto the scene last year. Do you remember? He was like shredding, and everybody was like, "Oh, who's this Kyle Klein kid?" This was MVP last year.
Whoa.
He came in like
Didn't know I was
fourth.
talking about your little brother like that.
No, I'm just saying this is like where he like made his entrance to the disc
James
golf world.
Conrad's gonna win. Paul Macbeth's gonna come in second, and Michael Johansson's gonna throw the comet and bangers all over people and come in third.
Yeah.
Predictions.
I think we need
predictions.
to add,
predicted.
I think we need to add an element maybe in Dark Horse picks or something where if they win or if you lose, something where you have to put a disc that's in their bag in your bag. You know what I mean? Like
like from that player.
Yeah, like I think that if Michael Johansson gets third place, you gotta have to put a comment in your bag.
I'd put my banger back in.
No,
It has to be a comment. I will take him. I would never predict him
That's a good
because of the
point.
Yeah,
chance.
I
I
would-
don't want the
We
comment.
will figure out. We'll figure that segment out later.
My predictions are Ricky in third, Kyle Klein in second, and Paul in first.
Boring.
Not really.
Give me some Michael Johansson up in there.
I'm not trying to make bad
Come
picks.
on.
I'm not trying to make bad picks.
Conrad's gonna throw the envy all over you this weekend. You're screwed. Why didn't I pick?
He
Jordan
can't throw it
Castro?
anymore. It's 380 now. It's going in the water. There goes the world's disc, the famous one, sinking to the bottom.
And the 8 holes are all gonna be crying. Are they still gonna be there this year?
What?
8 holes. People who like sit on hole 8 all day.
Oh,
They call themselves
probably.
the 8 holes.
I didn't know they called themselves that, but that's cool.
That's funny.
All right,
We
let's
need
get
more of
into.
that in the sport.
Let's get into.
Now they can't even see the guys on the tee pad. It's so far away, 380 feet.
They're gonna give them all rangefinders. Bushnell sponsoring the hole.
Gosh dang it. Nice.
Nice.
That was just
Camera's
for you
already
guys.
dead. Like-
I wasn't. I'm not even gonna cut to myself there. That joke is only for you guys.
Dark horse picks. Let's throw it over to Connor.
Throw it over to
All
Connor.
right.
Cruz.
Who's your dark horse pick?
Well, my dark horse pick last week didn't let me down because I didn't lose.
Well, that's because my guy didn't
Really.
show up.
Exactly. Yeah. So this whole being DM'd and choosing that person blindly is really working out for me. And I have to correct myself. I said disc golf dudes last week, and it's actually disc golf duds.
They sent you the cool stickers,
and
man.
they hooked me up and sent me some really cool stickers that are very cool. But anyway, yeah. So it's disc golf duds. But this guy, Andrew Wallen, I think it's Wallen. Wallem. He DM'd me, and one of the funniest messages I've ever gotten on Instagram.
Nice.
He said, "All right, hear me out," which I love any message that begins like that. Pick me for your MVP Open Dark Horse pick. Not because I'm going to do that great. I probably won't. But if I lose, I'll buy the winner's drink. Well, Venmo you, however you guys do that. I feel like you're just crazy enough to pick a 973 rated Dark Horse pick. So my Dark Horse pick is Andrew Wallen. And yeah, he's rated 973. And he said, of course, I'll be making TikToks all weekend long, so it would be fun to tag you guys in as the Dark Horse pick. And so he's on TikTok as well.
I respect that pick, but I also at the same time I don't respect that pick because
Because it's cop-out.
you're taking no risk.
No, you're getting bribed.
You can't lose now because now you're $5 or whatever.
Okay,
covered.
you know what? Andrew Wallen, don't worry about Venmoing me. I will.
Yeah,
I will
now I
take
like
it.
it.
Yeah.
Now I like it.
So
you
I'm
go.
deciding
double
that-
or nothing.
I'm deciding.
Yeah, double or nothing.
If you lose, you buy us both coffee.
$100.
No, why?
$100. $150.
Why?
Hey, if you lose, you gotta buy me a
200.
Lamborghini. Deal.
So I've decided that I'm the people's champion, and that if any,
You
if-
decided that.
I've decided
The
that.
people decide
You
that
just
No.
created a super
They did
team,
decide
bro.
that because he decided to DM me instead of you guys.
because he knows we're not crazy enough.
Well,
He
I'm
knows if
crazy
he
enough.
picks Hunter right now, he's going to break his
Listen,
leg
everybody.
because he's got the curse.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't DMing anyone on this side of the table.
My
We have a
Instagram
history.
is Connor Kennedy, KONNER.
You just plug your personal
Instagram. Plug your personal
KENNEDY.
Instagram.
on the podcast.
Yeah, I did because I want them to DM me so that I can choose them next week because I think it's way more fun.
My Instagram is also Connor Kennedy.
Oh,
My dark horse pick is named Shane Wyatt. He's from Massachusetts. He's 992 rated, and he's got like a bunch of B tier wins this year. So he just has a good like local vibe. Like he like when he shows up to a Massachusetts event, people are like, "There's that guy. He's like a Cody Bradshaw of this area," you know. So
I like Cody Bradshaw.
What?
I like Cody
Same.
Bradshaw.
So there.
All right, here comes my pick. Fingers crossed that my curse is lifted.
It's not.
It's not.
I did not allow.
Remember, I did the whole last week.
I got Mark Peters. Sorry, Mark. 990 rated.
Hashtag sorry, Mark.
And he's 990 rated. He's from New Jersey, and he cashed last year at Maple Hill. He played really well last year. Snuck into cash.
You know he like hurt himself though, so he's playing with his other arm now. So like
No.
last year is pretty irrelevant.
No. Mark Peters,
to.
he's about to win this for me. Connor's going to buy me that
He's
Lambo.
about to slip on a banana peel any second now.
No.
Cursed.
I didn't even search this guy. I realized I wanted to search him and find out like his stats.
You don't know
like
anything
that.
about him, man.
He might not even be in the event. That's a funny prank.
Be
That's
hilarious.
funny. You just DM
I
Connor.
can't look him up though because we don't have any Wi-Fi.
You just
in here,
DM.
so-
You just DM Connor picks that don't exist.
Don't do
I
that.
normally get someone DMs Foundation a dark horse pick like every single week, but I never take them because I feel like I don't own the rights to that.
I'm not going to do this because we already pranked Connor once in a similar fashion, but I was already cooking up in my head how I was going to catfish
Make a
Connor.
burner account.
Make a burner
I was
account.
going to make a burner and DM him and tell him to pick me as his dark horse pick, but I'm not going to do it. I'm a good person. But it would have been pretty
Thanks.
funny if he's like, yeah, I got bend over here for my pick.
I think I would catch that.
I wouldn't have picked a name like that. I would have definitely.
that's
picked a
right.
brand
That's
name.
so
Seymour.
crazy because you just said that you would pick a name like that. So you see, I would be confused.
There's only one man to win this week, and it's Seymour Butts.
All right, on FPO.
Oh, I think I went to school with him.
That'd be the best part of like you're trying try to defend your dark horse pick as if he's real. And I would like invent I would make a Facebook account. He'd have like a family. I wouldn't stop there either. He'd have a LinkedIn.
He's a CEO
No,
of
me,
Nike.
me and Massive Dong have been messaging back and forth for weeks.
Did y'all see that? I sent it.
Yeah,
The Twitter video.
We saw
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
That
that's
was
so
funny.
funny. If you didn't see it and you don't know what I'm talking about, there's this video on Twitter where apparently like a school board has to read the list of names of people who were gonna come up and speak, and so someone, probably a sixth grader, sent in every
Probably
like,
a grown man.
definitely a grown man, sent in every cliche name that like we were just saying, like Seymour Butts and
Et cetera, et cetera.
all the anyone you can imagine. He just put on a list and put them all in a row. So the like school board person had to sit there and be like, Seymour Butts. Is there a C? Like is and by like the first three were like more subtle, and by like the fourth one, he like knew what was going on, but like he had to read the names because like whatever rules in place. It was a good time. I was chuckling.
You hate to see it, man. Don't make fun of the school board like that.
I was chuckling.
Hunter's a bad person. Who's your FPO picks?
I'm gonna go from third up again.
Oh wow, you're
I got
crazy.
Lisa Fakis coming in third. That's why she was on my list. I think she's going to sneak up in third. Sarah Hokum always does good here. Oh, that's why I picked James Comrade. Same reason I put Sarah Hokum on here. It's an MVP event. They're going to perform at an MVP event. Sarah Hokum, second place. Paige Pierce is going to win. It'll be her sixth time.
I've got Sarah Hokum knocking off Paige Pierce.
Oh, you picked Sarah Hokum too.
Yeah.
No. Who's your third? What?
Yeah.
Who's your third?
My third is Haley King.
Okay. What was confusing about that?
I don't know. You asked me like you were about to like indict me for something.
Oh, who's your third?
Yeah.
Illegal pick.
You guys
Yeah.
both confused me there.
Who are your picks,
That's
Connor?
what we do.
You know.
That's it. You know.
All right, really quick before we wrap up the show, I want to take a look at the Pro Tour standings, just kind of give you a little glimpse of what's going on. So realistically, right now, Eagle, Ricky, and Calvin are the three with a chance at winning the regular season points.
Which means what? Is there a bonus?
I don't know, but they'll be like the Pro Tour champion, Tour points champion.
Because that doesn't even give you Player of the Year anymore. They just weighs in as part of it.
Yeah, it weighs in as part of it.
Did you say who is it? Eagle, Ricky.
Eagle, Ricky, and Calvin. Paul's in fourth with if he
probably have to
wins
win
both
out.
events and they play bad both events, he could do it. But realistically, Eagle, Ricky, and Calvin are the three with the chance. But the players in the bubble, this is what's interesting to me. We have Matt Bell. He currently is at 200 points. Matty O is at 198.5. Andrew Presnell's at 197.7. Raven Newsom's 194.5. Aaron Gossage is the current cut line at 191.4. Then we have Eric Oakley, 183.5. Austin Hannum, 180.1. Nathan Queen, 175.8. And Casey White at 173.7. So all those players realistically could make it or be cut from the Pro Tour finale right now.
Hey, Casey White had a good season going.
They're all registered for the next two events as well. So there's some players below them that are kind of close as well that aren't playing the next two events.
I mean,
but
you got to get yourself a shot.
I mean, if you're Casey White, Massachusetts local, and you come a top 10 here, you're in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then that bumps Aaron Gossage down.
Oakley last year at the finale like popped off.
Yeah, so there's a lot of moving that's going to be happening within those names. So there's some good storylines to follow. Matty O has been really popping off recently, so I would imagine he's pretty locked in, but he is only 7 points clear of the line. So if he has
nobody's locked in.
If he has a bad tournament or two, you never know. On the FPO side, Paige basically has it locked down. She would have to play bad both tournaments. And on who's making the cut, what's interesting is Valerie and Alexis Mandujano are on the bubble. Like they're both around the 16th place, but they're not playing the final two events. So they're like 15th and 16th, which makes it seem like Heather Young is playing both events. She's most likely going to qualify. And there's a possibility that Stacey Ronsley, if she plays good, will be able to sneak in there. If she gets enough points at these next two events to catch Alexis Mandujano or Valerie, she could sneak in there as well. But she does have to play somewhat decent at both of these remaining events.
Why am I not playing either of them?
I'm not sure. Mason Ford, who is Valerie's boyfriend, is also not playing.
Interesting.
So there must be some tournaments going on in Texas or something or maybe it's just too far away. I'm not sure. But they're on the bubble right now. So there's a chance if Heather Young and Stacey Ronsley do not play well at these two events that they could sneak in. But most likely, Valerie and Alexis will not be making the finale. But there's also the weird thing of if a player denies being able to show up, then they go to the next player down. Yeah. So in FPO, if all 16 can't make it, they might be able to sneak in too that way. So it's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on. I always like those storylines too because like it gives you more to watch because you don't know where everyone's going to be. All right, time to wrap the show up officially with a make that call.
You know what they should do is on UDisc they should start having those like the
USDGC tour point
spots. They should have the tour point like
bubble
like tracking.
Yeah, that'd be good. All right, so let me paint you in this scenario real quick. You're playing in the Brawl Series. For those of you who don't know the Brawl Series, the Blue Ridge Area Winter League.
Get cold in here.
Happens every winter. And you step up on a hole that has some snow in the fairway that hasn't melted yet. Before the round,
sounds very familiar.
Before the round, the TD declared all water is casual on the course. A guy on your card lands in a patch of snow and ice.
And claims it to be water.
He marks 5 feet back on dry ground as his casual relief. You say something to him. He says, what are you talking about? It's a body of water. When talking about casual relief, does ice and snow count as water?
How could you argue? Definitely the answer to this question is no. Or else
Are you denying science?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying the PDGA rulebook probably that's such a weird loophole one because I'm not going to try and get scientific because I will say something really stupid. I say because is it considered when it's in the physical form of ice or snow?
Snow is still technically physical form of ice.
Right. So if it's when it becomes ice, it's no longer a liquid; it's a solid. So it's not. We wouldn't consider it water anymore, right? We would consider it ice. Am I saying? I'm looking at either of you for affirmation right now.
I would still consider it water, but I have no idea.
I don't want to give you confirmation because I know the answer to the rule.
What I don't know is if water is only applied to the liquid form of H2O. If when it becomes a solid, because when it's gas, you call it water vapor. And when it's a solid, we call it ice. It doesn't. But then you would think you'd be able to play casual from ice though. I'm going to say you can take casual relief.
You're saying that the ice/snow counts as a body of water. I would think
it'd be reasonable to take casual relief from ice because that's dangerous.
Okay, so your answer is yes. Answer is no.
Dang, that's
casual water as listed in the rules is water as commonly understood in its liquid form. The rules do not grant casual relief from snow, ice, or even steam should you encounter it.
Wow, they really cover their bases. That is crazy to me.
But it does have note that the director can announce that ice or snow are casual obstacles, in which case they can be moved if they're behind your line.
So it's just as he announces it. If he announces it as water, then but he can
he could
choose
say
to make.
You can have casual relief from ice and snow.
That makes sense.
But he said casual relief from water.
That makes sense. Okay, science wins again.
Ice is water in its frozen form. They're the same thing.
So science loses.
Well, I know it's water and it's frozen.
Well, I know,
form,
but like it's still considered
It's still
water.
But it's ice.
It's just a solid form
it's
of
ice,
water.
ice, baby.
I'm gonna pretend like that doesn't hurt my brain.
Ice is water, but water isn't ice. It's like how how a rectangle is a square,
Is
but
water
a square isn't a
wet?
rectangle. However that works. You guys know that?
Yeah, a square is a rectangle,
Yes, but a rectangle is not a square.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's like the same thing.
Yes, a square has to be even sides, but a rectangle
no, but squares
just
and
a rectangle. What?
aren't just
Square is
squares and
a rectangle
they're
by
just
definition.
parallelograms. We'll talk to you all next week.
Ice is wet.
That's it.
Yeah, we're done.
All right.